Hello, I'm Cody and I just finished a run of Serious Sam 3 BFE, and by just I mean about an hour ago. Uh, I haven't watched the run myself yet, so I don't know where the mistakes are and how it's gonna look, but uh, I'll comment at it anyway. I don't think I'm gonna be optimizing this run any further as I've grown to dislike the first few levels quite a bit. But yeah, here's the first level. It's mostly fairly straightforward. I just grab a hammer from a secret rather than the usual route. Excuse me. Then there's a couple of other minor time savers, such as jumping over this fence, which keeps going, well, around the fence. And right after this part, there's supposed to be a long fight scene, or I don't know how long it is. I haven't done it in a while. But you can just open the wall with the hammer. Normally, Gnar is supposed to open it for you, but that works too. Yeah. First of all, I need to give a shout out to Big Jim and Detress. Big Jim ran this game quite some time ago. Back when there were no rocket launching, at least no horizontal rocket launch. I'm not sure if he used any kind of rocket jumps. Yeah, he made a pretty awesome tutorial on this game in the editor explaining things in depth, and if you want to pick up this game, I highly recommend checking that out, even though it doesn't cover a lot of the newer skips. And Detress had the record until today, and his run is where I got most of the rocket launch spots from, and that really inspired me to even pick up this game, because rocket launching looked like fun, and it is fun. Right, 138. That's not a bad time, at least not for me. Because I'm still pretty much a scrub in this game, but not a lot of people had done runs, and even the old world record was pretty unoptimized. Also, that was a fantastic start to level 2. You're supposed to hold down right, or D, during the dark section, and Sam was gonna walk upstairs, and you can continue from there. But I wasn't wearing headphones when I was playing this, because I was sick of hearing the kamikaze shout. So I didn't realize that I'm not actually walking because I held down D before the level had loaded. So I wasted a couple of seconds standing still like an idiot. Yeah. In this level there is a time saver. Like I said, I'm a scrap, so I don't do these things. There is a time saver that could potentially save 15 seconds if you climb up on a statue and get to the second floor like that. But I found that the platforming in this game is incredibly annoying and difficult. So I just decided that, you know what, it's not worth all the resets that it's gonna take for me to actually get that. So instead I just walk around and hit the switch the usual way. And there is still this minor time saver, which I think would also be worth it for if you were to do the statue route. Just walk on the edge here, because Sam's feet are really sticky. If you just hold towards the wall as you walk. Yeah, the switch over there, which I just hit, opens this door right here, and speedrun secrets found always seems to amuse people. Yeah, and here is supposed to be a boss fight, but you can skip it the same way as you did in the other hallway, just walk along the edge. This jump is, for me, one of the more difficult skips that I do. I just can't seem to grasp it completely. I know that it's easier if you start from a bit further back, so you have more room to sprint before you jump, but still, it's really inconsistent for me. But despite the beginning, 155, that's about the average for me. Broken Wings. In this one there's also a time saver that I don't do. Right at the beginning, if you wanted to platform up a wall, jump on some windowsills and such, some pipes. Oh, got stuck there. Unfortunate, not a big time loss. Yeah. You can platform at the beginning and take a different route through this area, and it would save, I believe, about 10 seconds. But again, I don't think it's worth it, because you would have to be really good at climbing, and I'm definitely not good at that. So here I switched to the pistol mid-air, because you can't normally switch weapons while you are sprinting. Yes. Oh, this looks bad. Yeah. What a bad spot. Oh well. But yeah, I switched to the pistol while falling because that allows me to swap weapons without losing any time by stopping sprinting. And these enemies are really nasty, blocking my way a lot. Anyway, coming up is a switch. Right there. And that switch opens up a door right behind these boxes, and that skips a huge portion of the level. And that switch is also incredibly wonky when it comes to hitboxes. Like, you can waste all your shotgun ammo and who knows how many magazines in the pistol. Luckily you have infinite ammo on that. And you still just won't hit the switch. And sometimes you hit the switch, but you don't get the message that you hit the switch. So, just for extra frustration. However, I discovered that the pistol actually seems to be a lot more accurate if you use the iron sight, especially on that switch. And, well, at least in this run, I hit the switch first try, which, for me, saves a fair bit of time, because sometimes I've been standing there, firing like 30 shots at the thing, not getting the message, then going to see if this message was just skipped, and it wasn't. The door is closed, and that's a reset. And I cry myself to sleep after that. Yeah, this entire fight is basically on a timer. Once you start it, enemies will spawn. I'm not actually sure if the second wave of enemies, which is the Clairs, is based on killing all of these guys, or if it's on a timer, but it doesn't really matter because killing these guys pretty much always takes the same time. There's always gonna be that one last kamikaze left. And the Clair spawns themselves are completely set there on a timer, and they always spawn from the same locations in the same order. So I can just run where I know the next one is gonna be and wait for it with the hammer. Soon there's also gonna be some Gnars spawning with the Clairs, and those don't have set spawns. I believe their amount is set, but they can spawn anywhere on the roof. The Clairs will still keep spawning in set positions. Also, there's going to be a boss fight right after this section, after I kill the last Clair. And in that boss fight, it's possible to do a glitch where you start running, then you buffer a weapon switch by pressing 2, and Sam doesn't immediately switch weapons at that point. He just... once you stop sprinting, he's going to switch weapons. But if you stop sprinting and start sprinting again, very quickly, after buffering the input, Sam will attempt to put away the hammer, but because you start sprinting right away again, he doesn't take out the pistol. Instead he just keeps using the hammer, at which point the game is confused as to what weapon do you have equipped. So you are able to sprint while using the hammer really fast, as if you were using a gun. That, however, is quite risky, because if you stop sprinting at any moment, you will lose the glitch and you will switch to the pistol, which loses time. And if your aim is off as you use the hammer quickly, you might get a really long animation, which again wastes time. And as you're running around the boss, it's also very possible that you just get stepped on and die. Because even though this is on tourist, you still take a ton of damage from this guy's footsteps. I don't know if that happened in this run. We'll see soon enough. Yeah, there you go. All of my armor and like 15 hit points. It's like 5 steps and you're down. Yeah. The reason why this is on tourist is because you regenerate health, and that is extremely helpful, at least later on when we get the rocket launcher, and you don't take splash damage on your own explosions, which is again super helpful once we get the rocket launcher. Right, no place to hide. I quite like the beginning of this level, but I always seem to fuck it up. like that. Like you can, oh, that's a beautiful fuck up. But nice recovery. Nice recovery, I give myself that. But yeah, this level, or the first half of this level, you just run on the rooftops. You gotta be careful with some invisible walls, and this just looks so beautiful. How can you not like this? And overall, I really like how you get on the rooftops, because you just jump onto palm trees that are conveniently placed. It's a nice beginning for a level. And this cutscene actually places you on the other side of the arena. So, I don't know if you could somehow like get around the arena and skip the cutscene, but it wouldn't be worth it. Also on turrets you can just tank these hits from the turrets. Usually I have less health than this, after getting past the second turret, like 60-ish maybe. And if I have like less than 50, I'll just grab the armor. Mostly because I think Big Jim told me to in his tutorial, and I trust him. I'm sure he knows the game better than I do. This turret I actually do have to shut down, so I can pick up the rocket launcher and some rockets. This boss can be really frustrating, because I've had a couple of times happen that I kill the boss and the level just doesn't end. So I don't have an explanation for that soft lock, maybe someone else does. My only guess is that if you shoot him too much, then something goes wrong, but that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Then I just grab some armor at the end and wait for the level to end. 159, that is. I think I wasted like 10 seconds, 10 to 15 seconds at the beginning. Yeah, I would say that's still acceptable. Alright, under the Iron Cloud. Alright, here we get to see rocket launching, which is the reason why I picked up this game, because it's a fantastic trick.
What's that, Prince? This is what it sounds like when doves cry.
Yeah, right there. Such a nice trick. I believe someone explained the trick so that the game checks for collision based on the frame rate, and if the game decides that the rocket is both hitting the wall and inside Sam at the same time, Sam gets boosted as if he was getting the what do you call it? Knockback from the rocket, like an enemy would. And, well, basically the rocket launcher turns Sam into a rocket. And even in Tourist it's actually easy to die to that, as you still take a ton of fall damage when you do that. And at 60 FPS you can only do that like directly upwards, which is usually lethal. But at 120 FPS and above, you can use walls and palm trees to do vertical ones, like I just did. One of them was against an invisible wall, by the way, in case you're confused about that one. Alright. Here you gotta kill... Again, I'm just trusting Big Jim here. I think it's 15 or 16 of these harpies for the boss to spawn. And a good way to kill them is to just spam rockets at your feet or at a wall or a pillar, and they just keep running into it or flying into it. And I remember this fight going really poorly in the run, unfortunately. I got a really unfortunate spawn, I suppose. It wasn't even destroyed because I didn't have time to take it out. So in this fight you're supposed to destroy 3 of these spawners. And like you can see, I got really unlucky with how they spawned. Normally this fight is supposed to be a 2-cycle, but in this case 3-cycle, as I couldn't take out the first one in time. I'm also spamming quite a few rockets for each one, more than necessary, because I want to make sure that if some harpy decides to fly in the way and catch a rocket, I still destroy the spawner.
All your base belong to us, motherfucker.
Yeah. The skip was fine, boss fight not so much. 250, I've had much better than that, but I'll take it because the rest of the run actually went well. Yes, coming up is my absolute favorite level. Yes, who doesn't love this one? The first half of the level is a bunch of rocket launching, and it's actually quite a fun map for that. Especially since I don't know why.
I'm getting there.
Probably the game just decides that, yo, this is sand, you don't take fall damage in sand, so you don't have to worry about going too high with the rocket launchers. At this point you still take fall damage, like look at my health right now, 209 to 150. That wasn't even high.
How comforting.
But for this one, I for some reason don't take any fall damage. Same with the rest of the jumps in this map. So jumping from this wall is sometimes a bit finicky. I'd have to take a step forward right there to make it work. Here I actually intentionally use this palm tree rather than the wall behind me, because this allows me to jump over through two triggers that spawn enemies, and among those enemies are kamikazes, and attempting to do rocket launching while kamikazes are around can be annoying, because especially if you're using a tree for the trick, because they keep destroying the tree you try to jump off. That's just extremely annoying. But here is the second part of the map, the one that gave me a lot of trouble, and I gotta give a shout out to Hatem, who helped me out figuring out how to do this fight properly. Because unlike most fights, it's not like completely skippable or have a simple enemies that the enemy spawns that you have to take out. In this one you have to kill almost everyone. There are two end conditions. Either you wait 10 minutes, not fast, don't want to do that, or you kill, I believe it's 80 Rocketeers, like, is it 22 Gnars, 14 Clairs, and some amount of kamikazes and 3 red biomechs. And the way the enemy spawn is that all other enemy spawns are based on how many Rocketeers you kill. So the way to do this fight fast is to always focus on Rocketeers, because that makes more and more enemies spawn, including more Rocketeers. So they are always my number one priority. And an important number is that at 75 Rocketeer kills, 2 of the biomechs will spawn. Also, those biomechs over there are blue ones, I don't have to kill them. But yeah, at 75 kills, the red biomechs will spawn. And at that point, I know that there are only 5 Rocketeers left, and not a lot of other enemies either. So instead of staying here in the middle shooting both sides, I head towards the biomechs, clean up whatever enemies happen to still be alive, and at the end take out the biomechs themselves. And by that point, usually, the third biomech will spawn on the other side. That one is not based on kills, it's based on a timer. It spawns at 190 seconds since the beginning of the fight. Yeah, there's the biomechs, and I start looking around for enemies that have gotten stuck behind the rubble, which happens a lot in this fight. Yeah. I notice a bunch of Rocketeers still here, so I don't move away from this area quite yet, because I know that killing them is gonna spawn more Clairs and Gnars. So I'll stick around here for a while, take out whatever spawns, and then head to the other side once I think this area is clear. Also at this point, 10 Clairs have spawned from the pyramid over there. They are not important enemies to kill here. I just kill them because it's impossible to keep track of which of these enemies have spawned from previous spawns and are important, and which one of them came from the pyramid. So it's better to just kill them all if you have the time. here I'm still looking left and right, trying to see if there are any enemies left stuck in buildings. But extremely lucky for me, it seems like there weren't any enemies and the level ends. Because after the last kill there's, I think, a 5-second timer, and then you just get rescued. And 4:43 is a really good time. I think it's the fastest I've seen in this map. So I'm really glad the strategy is paying off. Because previously I had like a 5:15 and I thought that was like a really super good time.
Try not to get yourself blown up out there, tough
Alright,
guy.
the next two maps are probably my favorites in the entire run.
Yeah, I'd be mad too if I couldn't see my
There's
own junk.
lots of rocket launching. And, well, cool rocket launching, I'd say. This tree is one of the more annoying ones to jump off, in my opinion, because there's usually a kamikaze really close by, and they want to destroy the tree. This time, however, I got lucky and only one spawned, and I was able to kill him with my face. Okay, this jump is fairly precise because you need to land on this this wall right here. Because as you get on the sandworm will start chasing you, and the sandworm in this game it's not just like a kill trigger. Like you go too far, you get eaten. It's an actual enemy who will spawn once he notices that you are where you're not supposed to be, and after that it takes a while to get to you, and only then you get eaten. So you just gotta be fast when you get on the wall, leave the wall, and get on another wall quickly enough, and you can make that. Right, the Dark Bride. This is a pretty cool skip. I'm gonna do a rocket launch of a ledge above me, right there. It's gonna put me kind of out of bounds, and then another rocket launch, and now I'm properly in the sand. And this is because of my graphics settings are low to maintain high frame rate. And while I'm next to the wall, the sandworm can't get to me. Also, here I get away from the wall to make the sandworm chase me again, and then hug the wall again, and now the sandworm will jump up, and after the jump I have some time to run across the desert, back to the safe area. And then it's just one jump and the level is over. I think this one went really well, because the first jump is not trivial at all. So I don't think I even touched how exactly the rocket launch works. The way you would do it is you go really close to an object like this, then it's not just shoot a rocket and it's not jump. You have to crouch and then you need to shoot the rocket. But the difference between the crouch and the shoot is really small. It's like some milliseconds. It's really easy to do once you get the hang of it, which shouldn't take too long. Okay, Power of the Underworld also starts off with some jumps. And I use the wall right there to align the jump so that I don't take much fall damage. If you go all the way over the wall, you'll lose a ton of health, and I'd rather have a bunch of health because I don't know how much damage I'm gonna take from these jumps. So instead I aim so that I land on the wall. And is this the second boss battle? No, well, the second time you fight the spaceship. Anyway, this fight is a lot more straightforward than the fight in Silent Riddler, because you don't have to kill everybody. It's only important. You only have to kill a few important enemies. And again, I'm just taking Big Chim's word for it. First, you gotta kill these 3 werewolves, who always spawn in the same positions at the same time. Then it's gonna be 2... What's the name of these enemies? I don't know. Scorpions. They always spawn roughly in the same spot, but there's some minor differences because the spawning areas are not perfectly set. It's just like a big zone in which the enemy can spawn, and it just spawns somewhere in there. So I can't just point my gun and start shooting before the enemy even spawns, because I can't know exactly where it spawns. I just know roughly that it's gonna be in this area. And then it's just 2 biomechs. this biomech seems fairly consistent,
Serious.
so I usually do pre-fire for this one. And then whatever this big guy is, some unlucky Claire decided to jump on my cannonball. And finally this whatever witch thing. I unfortunately wasted a cannonball right there because I shot the cannonball at the witch a bit earlier than I usually do, and I expected it to bounce off because of the way the witch works. Like, you can't attack her unless she is trying to cast a spell. And I thought I was too early, so I shot a second cannonball immediately after. Not a huge deal, but I maybe could have used it in this fight against the ship. Again, the ship is in a weird position. I have to run a bit to catch up with it. But luckily I at least hit it with the cannonball, because the hitbox is once again a bit finicky. Yeah, like there, you see, the second one didn't work, so I'm just gonna have to finish off the ship with the Devastator. Not a huge deal, but would have been nice to hit the cannonballs. And at this point, the level is on a timer. The ship will crash and the level will end soon after that. So I spent the time by picking up some armor for the next level. Best I can do is just try to avoid losing all the armor, because in the next level I actually do take a fair bit of damage. Yeah, of the fight levels, I think this is my favorite by far. Because it's not just based on like shoot rockets at a wall or kill absolutely everyone and hope nothing gets stuck. You actually have a clear idea of what you're supposed to be doing. And Lost Temples. Okay, so in this level you start without any guns, and there is a major skip, which saves like a minute and a half. If you jam yourself between two pillars and then somehow manage to get a good launch, you can kind of bunny up across the desert without the sandworm being able to catch up with you. And Detress did this in his run. And even in theory, it saves a minute and a half, but in his run, because the trick is, at least from what I can tell, he claims there is a setup, I've yet to see it. He loses like 30 seconds, so I decided that, you know what, I'm not touching this trick. I'm just gonna run through the desert, manipulate the sandworm a bit, and take whatever time I get. At least I can finish the level and finish the run with that. Yeah, like right here, the sandworm is right after me, but I make it to the safe area just in time, and it's gonna try to catch up with me like on the other side of this safe area, and it's gonna take such a long time going to the other side of that area, and only 10 coming after me again, that I have time to make it to the third safe area in the distance. At least that's my understanding of it based on what I've heard from Detress and Big Jim. Feel free to correct me on this. I'm really not sure about the sandworm mechanics. They don't really come into play all that often in this route anymore. It's basically just this level. Yeah. Like, you can hear the sandworm, it's gonna jump behind me. Yeah. Right there. Almost caught up with me, but I had just enough time to make it here. And this is why I got the armor, because these kamikazes can do a ton of damage. You can still avoid a ton of the damage by going on this side of the wall. The sandworm, I think, will chase you, but there's not enough time for him to actually catch up and eat you. I think I got a bit bullied here. Let's see. I pick up the rocket launcher because there's a witch here, and yeah, I did get bullied. It's unfortunate. I get bullied a lot, dang. But yeah, the witch usually spawns like outside this this area, So I got the rocket launcher so I could fight her if I have to. But turns out that because of the bullying, she spawned inside the area and slowed me down anyway, despite me having the rocket launcher. Unlucky, but not the end of the run. And luckily she just not chase you after that point. So from here on out it's a simple level. But yeah, the skip would avoid all this. Like you skip all the enemy spawns and it's just running in a straight line from the beginning to this point. I think you boost like halfway across the desert, just enough to avoid the sandworm. And the second half you run. Whereas in this route you just run all the way through, and not even in a straight line. So it's obviously quite a bit slower. But it's consistent, so I prefer doing that. Alright. Last Man on Earth is one of the longest levels because it starts you from underground and you can't just boost yourself away from this cave like you did in Dark Bride. Instead I actually have to complete this puzzle in here. Luckily I don't have to kill any of these enemies, but it's still a bit of a... It feels like a waste of time having to actually play the game. There I ran past the doorway because there's a Claire inside there, and I wanted to bait the Claire to jump out, so I could actually fit in myself. Okay. These enemies do a ton of damage, even in Tourist. That is probably the most dangerous room in the entire game. And there I buffer my weapon switch to rocket launcher, so I can switch it here. Do a quick jump up, trigger the rock. And in the next jump I'm not actually gonna crouch and shoot a rocket, I'm gonna jump and shoot a rocket, because that's something that only works when you're going upwards, I think. But it also allows you to control your movement in the air, unlike if you crouch. And you need to control your movement just a tiny bit in that jump so you can get on the ledge. And the second half, surprise surprise, you jump a lot. And the main meat of this level is the upcoming section where you have to pick up 8 gas cans and refuel a car with them.
Wheels, that should come in handy.
I've lost a lot of time in this map before, simply because I thought I refueled the car, and as you can only have one canister at a time. So I've run to the car, then run to a canister, then run back to the car, then refuel, and only at the end realized that I missed a canister somewhere, because I missed a refueling and left the canister behind by accident.
That's good, but not quite enough.
The canisters are luckily always in the same positions, so it's pretty simple to learn how this map works. I usually go for those two first because there are less enemies around, and there are 2 trees right next to the canisters. And when there's no enemies around, it's easier to use the trees for rocket launching. Especially if the enemies happen to be kamikazes, then you don't want to rocket launch off trees. It's just gonna be... you're gonna have a bad time. Like, right there, I realized that, wait, there's a tree here. I could maybe try to rocket launch and save a couple of seconds, and then a kamikaze ran into me and destroyed the tree.
That's good, but not quite enough.
Luckily, none of the jumps here are important, so I can just... if I miss one, I miss one. No huge time lost there. Yeah, right there I had to wait for the witch to start casting a spell so I could shoot her and move on with my jumps. Got a bit pretty unlucky with the way she spawned right there. Because if you break the line of sight as she's casting a spell, she will stop casting the spell and you can again keep moving at normal pace. Oh, that's an interesting jump. Don't think I was expecting to land there. But yeah, like she spawned in a spot where she could see me even from far away. And I had to shoot some rockets. 423, I actually have no clue if that's a good time. I will assume it is, because it felt good. Okay, and final level, in which we run past enemies.
I'm a lot of things, fella, but I am not your lunch.
Also the most dull looking level in the game in my opinion. I have the there's like a color correction setting in this game. I have it set to, I think, vibrant, which I think makes the game look quite a bit nicer. Even though it mostly looks like shit, because I have turned the graphic settings down by a fair bit to make sure I have high frame rate at all times. But vibrant at least makes the style look nice. In this level, that all goes out the window and it forces this ugly filter on you. And I'm glad I can at least play the rest of the game without this filter. Also, there's like a limit on how many sounds can be playing at a time, which is why you don't hear the kamikaze scream constantly in this level. So you may have noticed my health went like down to 50s. There's a lot of explosions here, and explosions still deal a good amount of damage, even on tourist. I actually had to go for a health pickup right there. Then just quick switch to Devastator, take out whatever clears happen to be still following me, and hit for the final skip of the game. There's gonna be a witch spawn, so I'm keeping an eye out for her. And make sure she won't annoy me when I do skip. And there we go. That wall is slightly tilted, so while you normally can't have like air control while you go vertically, that one gives you just enough of forwards momentum to land on top of the level. I at first thought you'd have to do a jump there, but it just wasn't working, and then I later tried with a crouch and found out that it works out perfectly right there. Just gotta use the correct wall and you will land exactly where you want to be. There's probably a bunch of enemy spawns in the canyon, but let's not go there. It's much nicer up here. And then there's the final boss, and I think in the final boss I nearly screwed up. Because I got stuck on a ledge right here, and I almost couldn't get the jetpack.
I'll make it easy for you.
Yeah, just couldn't get in. And this is fairly precise on how much time you spend, and I also went past these things.
But you'll do.
So I thought I missed a cycle where I can stab the boss with that thing and start spamming cannonballs. I also messed up the weapon switching there, but not a big deal. As long as I can one-cycle the boss like that, it's all good.
That's how we do it on planet Earth, you overgrown space.
But yeah, that was Serious and Pretty BFE in... I'm gonna have to check my time. Let's see. Oh, excuse that noise. I had a 35:44 in real time without load times, and because I didn't use any loads in this run, we can also rely on the in-game timer, which was 34:59. The previous record was like 36:18, I think, in game time. But I think real time without loads is gonna be the best way to time this game, because
Is your dad home?
in-game time forces you to do or complete runs without ever loading saves or without dying, so it's pretty brutal on new players, such as myself.
Why, yes. As a matter of fact,
But yeah, hope you enjoyed that. If you want to pick up this game, I would recommend, if you can tolerate the first 4 levels. I am not a big fan of them,
get to that time lock right.
but after that it gets pretty good.
I'll see you in
Yeah.
3,000 BC.
Hope you enjoyed.